I swear, the first time I ran Nmap and saw that wall of open ports, I panicked a little bit. Like, full on, I swear my face went black. There must have been drool running down my mouth. I looked brain dead. That's how bad it was. It was like a full-blown internal meltdown. And I remember seeing these ports all over the screen and just thinking, this is so bad. This is so very, very bad. Meanwhile, however, there was nothing actually wrong. That reaction, however, that's what gets people in trouble. And because open ports don't mean they're being hacked. They mean something is being answered. And if your first instinct is to panic instead of analyze, then it's not a tool issue. It's a thinking issue. So today we're going to fix that. All right, let's start with our first command right out the gates. We're going to do an nmap tac sn and then our IP address 10.0.2.0 with a /24. That's going to hit as many of those IP addresses as we go through. Now, before we even look at the output, let me ask you something. What question did we just ask? We didn't scan ports. We didn't poke services. We didn't try to exploit anything. We basically walked on the network and said, hey, who's out there? That's it. That's all we've done. And this scan alone has saved companies a lot of embarrassment because I've run this in audits and found machines that nobody even remembered deploying. That's not hacking. That's just visibility. So security starts with knowing what exists first. Now let's look at the attic. Now we're starting to see the host start to respond. And again, that's not compromise. That's just presence. And presence is neutral. If you've ever walked into an interview and they start showing you this output and you start thinking and talking about breach containment or, malware analysis, you need to stop. You need to take a breath. This is just an inventory. That's it. There's no incident response going on here. And we can see that. Now, let's highlight some of this stuff. Now, there's first 3 ports, 1, 2, and 3. That's all VirtualBox. That's all it is, right? And then we have Kali Local. We can see that right here. That's at 10.0.2.8. And then finally, we've got the IP address associated. And this time, it's only one. It's only one, but it's going to be 2.11. There it is right there. And that's the machine that we're going to scan today. All right, the next command we're going to run is an nmap. We're going to do a tac, lowercase s, uppercase s, and then we're going to actually use the IP address that we actually identified in our last scan, which is that 2.11 in there. Now, this command actually starts that 3-way handshake that we see in TCP, where we synchronize and then they acknowledge and synchronize back. Assuming that machine does, then we know that, hey, that port's available, that port's open, and then we immediately send a reset command back into it so that we're not jamming up. We're not actually attacking the system. We're just resetting that command so that it's not going through. So we're not finishing that 3-way handshake, but we're not leaving it out there to bear either. Okay. Now this is where a lot of beginners start to spiral a little bit, right? Your brain goes, why are there so many open doors? Especially when we start looking at this. I mean, look at all the doors open, especially in this specific machine. If it's a web server, we should definitely see 480 and possibly 443. But if it's a file server, should we have SMB? Probably. Open means the service has responded. That's it. It does not mean you've been breached. Doesn't mean you've been owned. Doesn't mean hackers are on the walls. Now, if Telnet is there, then why do we have SSH? And if SSH is there, why do we have Telnet? And I would tell you, if Telnet at this level is on there, then we need to have some serious discussions about starting to harden that network. Okay, so this is where we need to kind of stop and we need to have a conversation, especially if it's in an interview process. Immediately, what I see in interviews is that somebody will get something like this and they'll say, well, I see you have Telnet, and so they'll just block it off. They'll be like, oh, well, I'm going to take away Telnet. I'm going to take away port 80. I'm not going to do HTTP anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore. And they'll start going through with all these great ideas from everything they learned from Security Plus, and they'll just start locking down ports and protocols. The problem is they never bothered to ask why the service is running in the first place. Why is it running? Right? It's not an exam. It's not a certification. So ask questions. You could do that in an interview. You could go through and say, oh, I see port 80 is open. That's HTTP. I would ask why that port is open. I wouldn't just shut it on purpose. See, when you start shutting down ports during interview, that doesn't tell me that you know what you're doing. That tells me that you don't know what you're doing, because I could have a perfectly legitimate reason for having Telnet open. It could be a legacy device. It could be a proprietary service. It could be all kinds of different things that doesn't work unless Telnet is operational, and you're locking it down. You have no idea where it's in the architecture. Is it behind a firewall? Is it segmented? Is it on an air gap system? All of these are questions that you should be asking instead of just going through and saying, oh, Telnet, knock it off. because you could really harm a network. And so think about that. Think about that during your interview process when you start to see something like this, because I see a lot of people start to screw up on that aspect when they start going through it. Okay? All right, let's move on to our next command. We're going to do an Nmap. We're going to do a lowercase s and uppercase v, and then we're going to hit that same one, that 10.0.2.11. This is going to check for services. This is where Google becomes your worst enemy. See, if we see Apache 2 point whatever or OpenSSH or whatever, right? Then we're Googling CSVs or CVEs like they're going out of style, like we're trying to defuse a bomb. Okay. With this, let's slow down a little bit, right? The version number is there for context. It's not proof of compromise, right? The professional response isn't, oh no, I've got a CVE. It's, is this exposed externally? Is it patchable? Is there a reason it wasn't patched? Is it segmented? Is it behind an air-gapped system? Is there a compensating control in place? Right? Remember, security isn't about just this knee-jerk reaction. That's certifications, right? When we're looking at Nmap from a hiring perspective, from an interview process, we need to have correlation. We need to have some background to what's going on. And that's the maturity that employers are looking for. So obviously, this runs some great commands, and we can see some here, but let's look at this, right? 513 and 514 open, and all it tells us is login and TC wrapped, right? So why is it there? There's nothing wrong with going to an interview and saying, I don't know why this is there, but I would want to check on it. At least you're calling attention to it. And that's really what I want you guys to get out of this when we start looking at Nmap from an employer perspective. Okay. All right. Next command we're going to run is very simple. We're going to do that Nmap again. In this case, we're going to do a TAC capital O for operating system, and we're going to hit that same IP address at 10.0.2.11, just like that. And it should provide us some good information about what's going on with the operating system, right? So you got to remember that Nmap is guessing. It's an educated guess, but it's still a guess. I've been in labs. I've been in Capture the Flags event. One of my favorite stories to tell. I was in a Capture the Flag event, and I was going to town. I had Nmap going through, and I was running the commands. And then here it pops up, and it said, "Oh, it's an IP-based phone." And I was like, an IP-based phone for a hacking lab? That one kind of blew me. I ran this command like 4 times. I kid you not, trying to get this thing to get more information of it, and it just wasn't coming up with anything. Okay, but Nmap just kept telling me IP phone, IP phone, IP phone, but it lied. See, it lied, and I know it lied because the party that I was with, the group that I was with, one of the other people, they ran Nmap against it, and they came up with Apache server. See, the problem was that I had updated my Nmap before the CTF came alive, right? Because I like updated software. He didn't. And so the newest load for Nmap, it was wrong. It had a bug in it. And so that literally wasted so much of my time, right? So I learned an important lesson on there. Always come to a CTF event with 2 VMs, one that's updated, one's not. But more than that, it taught me a valuable life lesson, right? Nmap lies. All right, I'm going to take a few seconds, and I want to talk resumes, because this is where I see people sabotaging themselves. It doesn't matter if you're entry level, you've never held a cybersecurity job, or you've been doing it for 2 years or 15 years. I see it constantly on resumes. They put it out like a giant block on their resume where they're like tools, and they list out the tools. They're like, I know Nmap, and I know Kali Linux, and I know Wireshark, I know Recon NG, and I know this, and I know that, and they're just pushing them out there like it's a giant Pokemon card collection that tells me you touch the tool at one point in time, but it doesn't tell me you understand it. And this is a huge mistake. It doesn't matter if you're trying to get into cybersecurity, or if you're trying to get a promotion, or if you're trying to excel your career, right? Instead of just listing the tools, right? Let's talk about first-timers, okay? People that have never been in cybersecurity. Why not instead conduct a TCP and service enumeration using Nmap to identify exposed services in a simulated enterprise environment? Doesn't that scream that I know Nmap? Doesn't it say, hey, I'm not listing it as this little check box at the very top of my resume that doesn't accomplish anything? And instead it says, I know Nmap. I get it. I've used it in my lab environment, but I've still used it. And this is the important thing, right? Especially for my students. Don't lie. Don't lie. Don't exaggerate either. I guarantee if you put this on your resume, you're probably going to get asked an interview question about it. You're probably going to. And so you need to be able to go through and explain how you did it. And I'm going to tell you, you better know more than just the commands that I gave you. You got to know Nmap a little bit tighter. You got to know it. All right, I want to tweak this a little bit to my people that are already in the field. They're already working here. They've already done the job. They're already in cybersecurity. They want to get out of the entry-level role. They want to move their careers further along, right? right? How about something like this? How about performed Nmap enumeration across 100 plus hosts, identifying exposed services and reducing unknown asset exposure by 30%. There's two very important points I want to put in this bullet point, and they're right here, okay? Check this out. Metrics, metrics, and metrics. If you're already working in the field, you're already doing the job, you should have those metrics. And if you don't, you need to start collecting them. You need to, if you're not already, at least 4 months ahead of schedule. Start collecting them now, because when you put together your resume for that promotion, for that new job, for that pay raise, because let's be honest, that's what it's all about, right? Having the specific metrics associated with your resume is going to excel you above everybody else. Because if you leave it off, if you just put perform network enumeration across hosts, identifying exposed services and reducing unknown asset exposure, it doesn't sound near as good as if you have those metrics. And now you've positioned yourself as a leader, as a technical knowledge expert, as somebody that can be relied on because you've already worked across the field. You're not dealing with somebody that's only done 5 systems, because yes, they're there. Because I want you to think about this. If I'm a manager, if I'm looking to hire somebody, right, why should I give you the job if you've done it across 5 machines? 5 machines does not sound near as awesome as 100 plus machines, right? It doesn't sound near as awesome as if you could put, 40 VLANs or, a network consisting of over 17,000 endpoints, right? These are all numbers that you need to be used, right? And now we're not just identifying how big it is, we're also doing one better. We're saying, you know what? I've reduced the exposure by this percentage amount. Now, this percentage amount, it doesn't matter. Some people will go, okay, well, I've done 30%. Well, 30% of 10 machines is 3 machines, right? So you kind of want to be a little bit, right? Your goal isn't to lie, and it's not to exaggerate. We want honest facts and figures, but do play it to your role, right? If you've got a large network that you're responsible for that consists of like 17,000 machines, why not put a big number in there instead of a percentage? But if you're in a lower environment where you've only got, 30 or 40 machines, and you're like, well, it doesn't sound very awesome when I say only 30% or 12 machines, but 30% sounds better. Wordsmith it to your advantage. There's nothing wrong with it. You're not lying. You just want your resume to stand out. All right, let's go across one more for my people already working in the field. This one's more towards if you're trying to get into a leadership role, you're trying to get into maybe a manager role, something like that, right? Directed annual network compliance audit, eliminating 3 rogue access devices and averting 50,000 in potential regulatory penalties. So we're identifying the number of items associated with it, right? We've almost got always 2 metrics associated with this. In this case, we're highlighting that dollar amount, because when you're talking about management, when you're talking about leadership, when you're talking about any type of role where you're in charge of some people, right? Whether it's a team, whether it's a division, whatever it is, right? We want money to be involved if you're going into that manager role, because that's what it's all about. It's all about reducing cost. Okay. And you want that to be front and center on your resume. And that's 2 different routes that you're going depending on where you want your career to go. Now, if you want a structured Nmap practice beyond this video, something guided, I linked a beginner-friendly course below. Yes, it's an affiliate link. No, it doesn't cost you an extra money. It just helps us support the channel. And allegedly, according to certain household leadership units, the shelving unit behind me has reached what she calls the maximum toy density. I wholeheartedly disagree. I call it aesthetic authority. But if you grab the course through the link, it helps justify future professional decor investments. Now let's talk interviews. If an interviewer shows you an output scan and says, what would you do? And you respond, I'd close everything. You just scared them, right? Instead, let's try something like, I would validate whether the exposed services are expected for this host, confirm business necessity, prioritize remediation based on risk and operational impact. That tells them, not only are you educated, not only did you get that certification, but you understand what a production environment is there for. And it's to make the company money, not for you to shut everything down. Okay. And that's the important part.